Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 42 of the Data Brigade podcast. I'm Keith the Bearded Tank.
I'm Zach the Tactical Gnome, and tonight we have Klay. Klay Owens, right?
Yes, correct.
So Klay Owens, if you don't know who he is, check him out. He's on Instagram. Is, I would have to say, next to the AK-4774 Operators Union, is the all-knowing AK guy. At least that I follow on social media. But he also does this lovely thing called the Kalash-bash. So he's going to come on and talk some AKs with us and also talk a little bit about Kalash-bash. So, Klay, if you want to give everybody a little bit of background history about you, about Kalash-bash, and we'll go from there.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Thanks for having me too, man. I'm super excited to be on today. A little bit about my background. I literally was doing nothing with my time other than working maybe 4 years ago. And I went to Red October like 4 years ago. I've been to all of them. Went to one and decided that's what I want to do with my time was compete. So I got into competition shooting and I shot nothing but AKs. We shot at that time maybe 3 competitions a month for like 2 years, nonstop, running AKs. Became a sponsored competitive shooter, only running AKs. And after a while, kind of built an Instagram out of that, just running AKs. That's all it was. And Instagram blew up out of nowhere. And one day we decided to do a little event called Kalashnikov, a small Christmas event. And that turned out to be a big success. And we got a little too big for our britches and decided, let's do something big. Let's do something big about 6 months away from Red October so that people can enjoy both events with plenty of time in between. So we decided to have our very first Kalash-bash, which is a celebration of AK culture with a little bit of a competition attached to it. It's basically just a big bazaar festival, if you will, where people can come out, be around like-minded people that troll on forums, collect AKs, shoot AKs, all the multifaceted things that go with being an AK guy or gal. Come on out, and it's 3 days of that. You camp on site. You're around these people that you chat with on Instagram and Facebook, and the AK files for 3 solid days. You compete, you shoot machine guns, you win stuff. It's a really good time, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
You had me at machine guns and AKs.
Lots of machine guns. Come out and pop your cherry if you've never done it.
I've shot a couple, but never any fully automatic AKs.
Well, I mean, that was my bachelor party. Was a large amount of machine guns.
I still have one up on you though.
You didn't? Have you ever shot a 1919?
Have you ever shot a Dillon arrow?
Nope.
You know what? No.
I win.
Well, it depends. Your supposed favorite gun is I've shot and you haven't.
Yeah, bite me. I'm an MP5 fanboy. He's got to shoot one. I haven't.
I mean, I got to shoot.
You've never shot an MP5?
No.
Auto?
Nope.
Oh man, you got to get on that.
I'm working on it.
It's like comparing a full auto MP5 to an AK. It's like if your sinuses are bothering you, you can't breathe very well. Shoot an AK full auto, opens you right up. An MP5 is like, it's like wiping your butt with a moist towelette. It's just so freaking smooth and clean. It's about the best machine gun experience you can have as
Hell
far
yeah.
as pleasant.
I was actually going to say
An AK is just a wild ride.
I was actually going to almost say it's almost like a perfectly timed drum roll done by the paws of a kitten.
Wow. Well, wow.
Especially when it's suppressed.
Yes. Yeah, that was.
Wow. So I actually.
John, you need to get your ugly mug on the camera.
Yeah. Here, we got to scoot over.
By the way, since they didn't bought that doesn't work. It's too narrow for.
It's too narrow.
Oh.
There's actually 3 of us.
2 people sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's 3 of us, but like the table that we're using is kind of.
Being as I don't want to have Zach on my lap.
There
I guess that'll work.
Thanks.
There it is.
So
I heard another deep voice, and I just thought it was Jesus.
JP here. They forgot to mention that I was here, but that's all right because I only drove from Pittsburgh. It's no big deal.
Sorry. Which, by the way, he's, as everybody can see, he's healthy. He's alive. Doesn't have the corona, but burn his lungs because somebody at work's a dumbass.
You wait, somebody, not persons.
Well, several persons.
All right.
we'll just leave it at that.
All right, it's about Klay right now. Let's talk about Klay.
Anyway, so that's actually, when you were mentioning the whole Instagram thing, is how I actually got introduced to you, was because of all the AK stuff, and found you on Instagram, and then found you on Facebook, and then kind of stalked you to find your personal page to invite you on. But
I'm glad you did, man.
So what got you into shooting competition with AKs versus ARs, or all the other competition stuff? What strictly drew you to AKs?
Two answers to that question. One, what got me into AKs, man? My dad bought me a Wasser 10 out of a pawn shop for $200 when I was in high school. This would have been like a year after the ban lifted, so like 2005. I was a freshman, a sophomore-ish in high school, and he comes home with this. All I'd ever been around were like, Dad was a huge pre-ban guy, so he always had FALs. He always had like 20-inch heavy barrel Bushmaster, A2 carry handles, all the typical pre-ban stuff guys were collecting.
Mm-hmm.
He always had that around, but we never had AKs, never. One day he comes home with this Wasser 10 and had the blonde Romanian wood on it. Whoever had it before was not nice to it, and just something about it. It was on my lap every time we watched a movie. Anytime we went to the range, that's what I wanted to shoot. I was, hooking it on my belt loop and bump firing, doing all the dumb stuff. I'm like, 14, 15 at the time.
I think everybody that had a Wasser 10 has bump fired it off of a belt loop.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm guilty of that when I had mine.
Yeah, man. There was just something about it, and like when he bought it, the bayonet came with it, and a bunch of really rusty, dirty 30-round Romanian mags, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. Keep in mind, this is 2005, so you had like Tapco. That was the only aftermarket. No one was making anything for AKs back then. Back then, you couldn't even talk about AKs at gun shops because they're bad guy guns, and they had the stigma to them. Most places, especially here in the South. So I felt like it was like a bad gun to own, and to me that was kind of cool. Like it was, you were an upstanding citizen if you owned an AR-15. If you owned an AK, that was just weird, or you just couldn't afford an AR. That's kind of like what it meant to own one. This is only in 05.
Oh no, I fully understand. I bought my first. Well, when I bought my Wasser 10, it was in 06, and walked in. And the guy looked at me and goes, "Why do you want an AK?" Because I want one. And then the first thing that came to mind after he asked me that, I looked at him, I was like, "Because boys in the hood." And he didn't say anything after that.
Because it pisses guys like you off. That's why I want it. Let me see it. No, and that's not even what technically got me into them, man. I've always been into guns. I've got fond memory, and that my dad's to thanks. I have fond memories. My dad is like a spitting image of Kurt Russell's version of Wyatt Earp. Handlebar mustache, that jawline, that's Dad. Looks just like the guy.
Hell yeah.
And Dad always had lever actions and wheel guns, and he'd shooting baby jars out of the sky from the hip. That's just been Dad. Super impressive shot. Got me into guns, right? But he's kind of, I don't want to use the word fuddy, but he has a taste. He likes wheel guns and, pre-ban stuff, which is awesome. He hasn't been that into AKs. I think I got him into AKs more so than he got me into AKs. But anyway, fast forward a few years, go back and forth, ARs, AKs. Dude, when I went to Red October 4 years ago now, I loved AKs. But when I saw that I wasn't alone, and you see like 120, 150 guys, they dress like I do. They're on the same forums. They know the same weird, stupid things. Like I feel like Charlie Day with the wall full of crime scenes, and I'm trying to explain to people why AKs are cool. I'm around like 150 other dudes that think the same way I do. That to me did it. That was the push over the edge. I was head over heels for AKs more than I'd ever been. Just because that type of dude, man, I'd gone to gun ranges, I'd gone to gun shops, and there's never any AK stuff. It's all Glocks and ARs, and that's cool. But there's no one there to talk to about it. There's no one at your local gun range to talk to about it. Red October showed me that there are dudes like that out there, and those are the types of dudes I want to be around when it comes to shooting and just being into guns. So that got me into it. And then it was a match. So that's the second part of that question. It was a competition. Man, I'd never shot a match before. Didn't know I was even interested in it. I did it. Finished top 25 with a freaking AK on iron sights. I had an Arsenal 107 at the time. And I met a dude there who's like, hey, I'm from Texas too. And if you like this kind of thing, we do this all the time in Corpus. Like it's a monthly match. So I started going down there with those guys, and a good buddy of mine, Chris, you probably remember him. He was on the channel quite a bit. We start competing. We start winning. And I was like, whoa, I don't know if I'm good at this, but the score is always pretty good. And I'm doing it with an AK. Like I'm beating dudes with ARs worth twice as much as this, AK that's 60-plus-year-old technology. And that was cool, man. It was like feeding off of gypsy tears, beating dudes with ARs with an AK. That was special.
Oh, yeah.
To me, it was. And that just fed into it, man. That led to years of competition. Then I hook up with guys like Justin and Ash over at JMac, and then I meet Fred at SaberWorks 13 and John at M13. They start believing in us, and they sponsored us. It's like, holy crap. These people out there that are in the AK market, who are they going to sponsor to shoot competitively? Everyone's shooting ARs.
Yeah.
Who are they going to sponsor? There's no one out there doing it. So you've got all these guys that want to get their name out there with AK products and builds, and there's no one willing to run them in competitions. And finally, here come a couple dudes down in Corpus in Texas that are doing it. So we picked up some sponsors, and that to me was like a dream come true. I'm sponsored to shoot an AK competitively. Like, shut up and take my money. I'll do whatever you want me to do. It's like a dream come true, man. And that's how I got into it. That's how I fell head over heels for him.
Nice. So you had you said you had an Arsenal?
Yeah, back then, my buddy was running a Sam 7. I was running an Arsenal 107. That's back when you could find 107 folders everywhere. Now they're like completely gone. 106s are gone. 104s are gone. All that stuff's gone, man. Back then, they were everywhere for $900.
Yeah.
And we were buying them hand over fist and competing with them.
Because right now, I don't think I can buy an Arsenal 107 for under about 18 if I can find one.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
And less
Supply
than a year
and
ago,
demand.
they were available for $900.
Oh, you and your damn noises.
He said $900 that time, and it just gave me this warm fuzzy. I couldn't help
it did. Trust me, because I've been looking at Arsenals, and I choke about every time I look at them.
I mean, that's a lot of the market, though, in general, the way it can swing. Like there's things that have historically been like just amazingly affordable that just all of a sudden it catches on a little in the internet age, I think, especially, and demand spikes so hard so fast it destroys the market.
Oh yeah. Well, he said, what you say? Your dad picked that Wazer up for like $200 in 05?
Yeah, with a bayonet and like 3 or 4 mags and the original Romanian wood.
I think I
Ready
paid.
to go with a sling.
I think I paid $300 for mine, and that was in 06. And like I said, I kind of beat mine up because, well, I've always heard AKs can take abuse. So, okay, I wanted to see how much abuse it could take, and I shot close to, I think, 2,000 rounds. Like, I brought it home, cleaned it all up, took all the cosmoline and everything off of it because mine was still in cosmoline. And then I put almost 2,000 rounds through it before I cleaned it again.
You say cosmoline, and I instantly am like whisked back to like the when every one of my friends all bought SKSs all like the same time, and we're.
Dude, speaking of SKSs, I just cleaned that one, and there was still cosmoline on it, and it had been sitting in a safe for 10 years. Every
time I see a malfunction on one, it's because it was never fully cleaned.
Oh.
Can you actually get all of the cosmoline out of an SKS? I don't think that's possible.
It's theoretical.
That one back there has shot. I've shot the piss out of that thing. I'm still digging cosmoline out. The stock still sweats.
One of my buddies,
point,
he'd found some guru on them. Like this was years ago now. It's actually another gearhead. He owns a shop in Pittsburgh, but he found someone that like explained some soaking method that they did, and afterward, like all the SKSs that were like in my little circle of friends all ran like champs, and there was never any more mystery grease flying out of places.
I just use Extent Labs, and it runs perfectly fine.
I wish I feel like now, especially, I remembered what the heck they did, but I wasn't into them back then. I was like, yeah, handguns and bolt rifles, and that's all I cared about.
See, so the thing is like I started out with an AK, and then bought my first AR, and then like an idiot sold my AK, but with good reason I sold
It was a mercy selling. That wasn't.
Yeah. So a friend of mine wanted an AK really bad. Found him a really, 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 really good condition Wazer, but somebody had changed the stocks on it to the Russian Redwood. And we went down to pick it up. He had lost his license in the state of Ohio, but had it reinstated. And the paperwork was so lagged at the time that when they ran him through NICS, it said his license was suspended. Then it said it was approved. Then it said it was suspended. We were there for 2 hours, and it went suspended and non-suspended 3 times while we were there. He is on the phone with the state of Ohio trying to get everything situated. The state of Ohio goes, your license is valid. He hands the phone to them. They're looking at the system and says, well, it's coming up invalid, and we can't do it. So I look at the owner. I says, well, how much trouble would I get in if I just sold him my AK? And he goes, that's on you, man. I said, all right.
I mean, you have no legal.
Yeah. So I looked, see how much it was. I said, dude, I'll sell you my AK, all the ammo, all the mags I have for what they want for that AK with 1 mag and no ammo. He goes, deal.
Done.
I made $150 off of it, technically, for what I paid for it, but I miss it. So I'm in the market for an AK. But I do believe with what I had told you, Keith doesn't know, John knows. So somebody reached out to me, which I know if they're on Facebook, they'll see this. A person reached out to me one night while we were talking about firearms, and I got to mention that I was looking for an AK. And he said that he might have an AK for me. And I said, well, let me know what you want for it. And he says, being that you've been talking to me, and he's a former vet, he says, dude, it's yours. He says, just give me an FFL to send it to. He says, cheers. I says, well, what do I owe? He says, no. It's yours. It's free. It's yours.
Whoa.
He says, it was in a flood. The safe flooded. It needs a new stock and stuff, but he says, it's yours. So then I had reached out to you, Clay, to find out, since it is a Wazer, what all I should do, go over everything, and what stocks and everything. I actually found a Russian Redwood, so it's getting Russian Redwood on it. I'm just waiting for it to get here. So he's had some issues. I've had some issues, so we're just trying to line up everything. And so hopefully by the end, I'm going to give it by the end of summer, I'll have my AK again. If not, I'm going to be buying another one anyways.
That's awesome. Well, it's cool that it has a history.
Yes, it is cool. And I'm kind of happy to be able to redo it and have an AK back again.
Have you seen it since the flood? It might be a little rusty.
The stock itself looks warped. It has the dong stock on the front too. It looks like it was underwater, but not much. But everything else looks okay. Like all the metal looks okay. Which I'm going to tear.
Yeah. Who cares about the stock set?
Yeah,
I mean, you can
I'm going to tear everything down anyways.
Surplus wood everywhere.
Yeah, I'm going to tear it all down anyways and go over everything. If I have to.
Just shoot it a few times, knock the rust loose. I mean, there's not much you have to do with that. It just depends on how pretty you want it to be.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you hear stories about. Now, this has been dated, but
unless there's some major damage on you, honestly, you maybe some surface rush if the bore's still good. I mean, you're probably in good shape everywhere other than maybe a little scrub and a little oil.
Yeah. Well, there was stories of guys back during after Nam that had found them buried, and we're talking 10, 12 years after Nam, buried, and they would pick them up, wipe everything off, and then throw a loaded mag in it, and it would still run. And we're talking, it's been buried in friggin' rice paddy mud for 10 years. I'm like,
oh man, those aren't even wise tales. J-Mac did a really good bit of YouTube content a little while ago. He has a milled post sample, aka he calls it tetanus, because he buried it in his backyard for a year and it got really rusty.
Oh Jesus!
He digs it up. He's got video documentation. Man, this thing was in his backyard, getting rained on, wet, dry, underground for a year. He pulled it up rusty. They unseized the bolt, just had a little bit of light surface rust, so a couple of knocks, got it cycling, a full rip, full auto, it's ready to go, and it still wears that rust today.
No shit.
Well, I mean that's totally common for these things. There's what you have. Two moving parts. You have a rotating bolt assembly, and you have a carrier going back and forth.
And
the spring might get a little rusty. Replace that. There's not a lot of things that will go bad.
And they take an ass kicking. Like if you seen did you ever see the one they got from the poachers out in Africa? There's no top cover. The whole everything is like pitted with rust. The foregrip is baler twined on, like baler wire held on. And I do believe the stock was like a shovel. Like somebody cut like a handle of a shovel off for a stock. And it was still functioning.
It sounds funny, but it's not surprising, man. There's just not much that it needs to run. There's really not much. You can even take you can lose your dust cover, completely take your recoil spring out. Center T has great footage on that. It turns into a bolt gun. You can fire it without the spring. Your carrier will jump the rails. Smack it back down, load your next round, get your face away from it. Bam, it will fire. Carrier jumps the rails. You still have a functional gun. You still have a bolt gun at that point. That's no recoil system whatsoever, and that's no dust cover, and it will still function.
You guys all questioned me on why I like AKs.
I didn't quite.
You didn't.
No.
Others have.
I told you the reason why I haven't bought one is that's one extra caliber to add to my safe that I haven't yet. But damn it, if it's not a very cost-effective caliber to shoot, so I keep going back and forth on it, and I haven't figured out where the tipping point is there.
My wife brought this over, so there's a running joke with me and my wife for Easter presents, and every year I've gotten a gnome for Easter, hence the reason why the tactical gnome. She figured this is a good one to show because it's a Chernobyl gnome rocking an AK.
Nice.
So
that and you are 3 apples tall, but
bite me.
Man, wouldn't you love to go hunt some Fallout hogs?
Oh, that would be so fun.
Man, they go do that. They go hunt hogs and animals around Chernobyl.
I'd be afraid of
that are all affected by radiation.
I'd be afraid of running into too many of those fucking wolves.
Yeah, that's the only thing I wouldn't want to bother is the wolves.
The giant radioactive wolves.
But they're doing quite well.
That's the problem. They'd be quite capable of chewing your ass apart.
Yeah. Well, did they get the fire controlled around that? Like, are we still worried about Chernobyl catching on fire again?
Oh, have you seen it? They have a massive dome they've built over the epicenter.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
supposed to be like good for 100 years.
I seen that, but they had a big forest fire like screaming towards like Pripyat and Chernobyl a month ago. Which a lot of people don't realize that about, I want to say it's like 10 miles or so outside of Pripyat is the Russian woodpecker, that big satellite over the horizon satellite thing that they used. It's just right outside of Pripyat. Yes, I'm a fan of Chernobyl. I've read up on way too much on Chernobyl.
Yeah, did you watch the HBO series?
I loved it.
Great.
I think you had the Chernobyl series, and then you had the Waco documentary, and I think those are probably my 2 favorite miniseries that came out that are damn accurate.
Being a Texan, and we'll just touch on this lightly, like Waco, if you are 2A friendly here in Texas, Waco is such a touchy subject. Like,
I bet.
It divides people, man.
Well,
it's still a big deal to this day.
I could see that it is, especially in Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I was actually kind of surprised at Netflix because like some of their leanings were actually had released something like that. I mean, on their platform.
Yeah.
Almost proud of
it. It was on TV like a year ago. Netflix just now got it.
Yeah.
I remember we watched it when it came out a year ago.
Oh, wow. I didn't know it was out on TV.
Oh, yeah. It's been out for a while. I did like how they touched on Ruby Ridge a little bit.
Yes.
That was a very good way to start.
What that had to do with the ATF really needing a win going into Waco. Had all the makings for the ATF having a win. Oh, the guy's abusing kids. Oh, he's got all these wives. He's got illegal guns. Boom, boom, boom. Win-win. We go in. We get out. We look like heroes. Easy day. Easy target. But didn't work out that well, especially with the entrapment that they tried to get him with. The same thing that happened with Ruby Ridge. All that happened over a sawed-off shotgun. All of that. Guy had to stay in a house with his wife who got shot in the face for a few days. His son's laying outside dead.
Yeah.
All over a short barrel shotgun.
Well, I mean, I'd say the one
Complete
difference
insanity.
is at least that was actually like a short barreled shotgun. I thought they had, and turned out everything that the Branch Davidians had were all permitted for.
No, that he's talking about Ruby Ridge.
I'm just saying, as far as the
Branch Davidians, they actually had the approved paperwork for whatever they were doing that they got through the state of Texas, I heard.
Yeah, regardless how anyone felt about David Koresh and how he handled his religious business, that's all beside the point.
Yeah, I'm not discussing that part at all as far as that. I'm saying it's purely on the firearms, just talking 2A strictly. From everything I've seen,
no.
they had the permits, they had everything they were supposed to. That was the only part the ATF had any business showing up for.
Yeah, and then you wonder why, when you start kicking in doors and shooting at people, you wonder why you're getting shot back at. Well, there's a good goddamn reason why.
The one thing that I didn't like, and I thought the show it did a good job on both ends, but it was a little light on both parties. The part it was a little light on the ATF. They show everyone crying afterwards, and some of the guys, they felt so bad when the building was burning. No, man. When it really went down, not only did they get it right where these guys were antagonizing the Branch Davidians and writing vulgar things on the hoods of their cars and mooning the people, but afterwards these dudes are posing with their guns over the ashes, taking pictures. That all happened right afterwards.
You mean like them putting the whole American flag with the ATF flag smack dab in the middle of all the ashes?
ATF out posing, just straight up flexing on the ashes, taking pictures, proud of what they did. So there was no that's the one thing I thought that the show kind of churched up, that a lot of these guys felt really bad, and maybe they did, maybe some of them did, but not a lot of evidence.
I mean, I think a lot of the TAC guys, that were posing, obviously, it sounds a little different, but I think anything involving TV or movie tends to get. I mean, it's like if you look at you can say that about the Johnny Cash movie. You mean they're going to church up everything? Yeah, that
they really did church up.
Oh, well, they were kind of like, he did some drugs, and they like that. That was like, wow, really? That's
no, that dude did a lot of drugs.
But I mean, I'm sure there were people that had remorse. I mean, obviously, like the two biggest sources from that. One of them was the FBI. We're talking a lot about Waco all of a sudden. Who brought up Waco? That was
Me.
you. It's all your fault. Just checking.
We went AKs, Chernobyl, Waco.
Yeah. Okay. Back. Yeah. Anyways, we'll just get back to whatever. Keith, you're being too quiet.
I'm seeing that meme with the guy with smoking the cigarette and all the conspiracy stuff behind him. All of a sudden, like the way we just jumped from place to place there.
You don't even want to get me on conspiracy theories.
All right. So,
put your tinfoil hat on.
Actually, Clay, here's what you shoot AK's competition. What's the what do you do barrel wise as far as to get the? I'm assuming you're going for more accuracy than the average Kalashnikov. I can't talk.
Kalashnikov?
Maybe Kalashnikov. Yeah.
Automat Kalashnikov.
AK.
He's like, hold on, let me turn around right behind me.
Yeah, let me rifle through my rifles.
Oh,
this was one of my main competition rigs. This isn't 5.56, but typically what I like to do as far as barrel length goes, I chop them all down to 14.5, and then I'll pin and weld one of these JMac brakes on, just because they do kill like 90% of the recoil. And you wouldn't know this, but like if you compared a 5.56 AK to a 5.45, 5.56 actually has quite a bit more recoil. 5.45 is one of the softest shooting guns you'll ever shoot, ever. But just because the ammo is cheaper, I can try out different loads much easier. If I was going to run an AK in competition and really, really try, I had this built. This is an SLR 106 from Arsenal. It's the standard cold hammer forged barrel, still chrome line, 14.5 inches. I've figured out through trial and error where to zero these things once you chop the barrel down a little bit. But I still, to this day, man, I prefer 7.62 by 3.9 for every application, just because the holdovers are so well known, and the way to zero those things is so well known, even on iron sights. You can look up 100 different YouTube videos on different barrel lengths, where to zero it, where to have your leaf sight, and where to hold from 25 all the way out to 200. It's too easy not to run 7.62 by 3.9 for all of those applications. But even with those, I've got one back there too. I still cut the barrel down to 14.5 for a serious competition rig. But dude, I still like the match this weekend. If they don't cancel it, I'm running just a Romanian kit build with a 16-inch barrel. We will run it suppressed though. But even that, as long as you know as long as you know holdovers and you know where to zero these things, you can do it. It doesn't matter if it's a competition or a shooting class. It doesn't matter. I prefer 14.5 for it's good at everything. A little bit lighter. So Rifle Dynamics kind of coined that. They called it a front end conversion years ago. They were chopping the barrels down. They were getting rid of those front sight posts, and they were combining the gas block with the front sight post. It's all one unit. All of that. So you're completely losing a part. You throw that in the trash. The muzzle device is very lightweight. You're losing 1.5 inches off the barrel, and you're actually tucking some of that weight a little more rearward. It completely changes the balance of the AK, completely. So shortening the barrel, huge benefit if you do want to try to run these things quick, fast, and in a hurry. As far as ballistics, it affects the 5.56 quite a bit, but when you chop down a barrel on 7.62 by 3.9, 7.62 by 3.9 reaches full velocity at like 10.5 inches. As Angela Verdun says, I don't know if you follow her, the magic starts to happen with 7.62 by 3.9 at 10.5 inches. It really does.
Now,
that's why Dracos have like 11 and a quarter inch barrels.
That's my first thought when you said that was, is that kind of where the Draco was built around? Is like let's make this as short as possible at like the start of the ideal length.
That's like as short as you can go without losing anything. That's why AKs make such great SBRs in 7.62 by 39, because there's no velocity loss all the way down to about 11 inches. You're talking at or around less than 100 feet from a full-length 16-inch barrel. You can go 10.5 inches, and you'll virtually see no velocity difference.
Which actually makes
it's a huge benefit.
See, now that makes me think so much like why the 300 Blackout's such a good short barrel option on the AR side is probably very similar. I mean, I know the supersonic 300 Blackouts more or less have a very similar. I can't talk today. Really can't. Similar ballistics to a 7.62 by 39. Correct.
Correct. For a while there, they were calling like subsonic 7.62 by 3.9. That's like the Russian 300 Blackout. Now they have this round called 9 by 39, which is the Russian 300 Blackout, and it has similar ballistics to 300 Blackout. 7.62 by 3.9 and 300 Black are extremely similar. Like you're saying, it's all about when they reach that peak velocity. It happens much quicker than 5.56 or 5.45. Yeah, once you go that short, you're going to start tumbling. You're going to open up to like 12-inch groups out to 100 beyond to 200. But 7.62 by 3.9, man, it's absolutely insane the accuracy you can get with a short, rigid barrel when it's reaching full velocity out of a friggin' Draco made out of Kujir in Romania at 100 yards. Very accurate little guns, and they don't get a lot of credit.
I know what I'm doing when I get my AK.
Once you have your, you talking about after you have all the.
Oh no, I'm just going to cut it down or have the barrel cut down to 14.5 like he did.
I thought you were going full. I thought you were thinking, I'm going to
build a SBR Draco right there for you.
Ooh,
this one Rachel's going to be running, so we've got it all modded out modern. I usually run wood and a folder. I like a little more traditional. So she'll have a adjustable stock. She'll have an RMR, and she can run it suppressed if she want. This gun right here, this is about 11 1/4 inch barrel. Has no velocity difference from that 16-inch AK that you just saw. And I've lost about 1.5 pounds difference, and I don't have all of that business hanging off the end. It's honestly, man, I've got a few different SBRs, ARs, all different kinds of things. A $600 Draco has been the best SBR I've ever done. It's honestly like my prized AK, and it's probably one of the cheapest ones to get into.
Nice. So within the AK, like the AK family, so you have the 7.62 by 39, the 5.45, and then you get into like, do you consider the Droganov and like the RPDs and all that stuff part of the AK family or not really?
No, not at all. They don't share a single part. Not at all. So those are all 7.6. Well, the Dragunov will be 7.62 by 54R, like your Mosins.
Mm-hmm. Which I have just
But-
got a Mosin.
Right. I urge you to take a look at a YouTube channel called 9 Hole Reviews. I don't know if you've heard of these guys. They're actually local. They do practical accuracy testing with military fielded firearms, and they got their hands on a real Russian Tiger Dragunov.
Ooh.
And the results they got out of that shooting, basically belt gun grade 7.62 by 54R, were absolutely phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. That gun is so far and above its time. It's actually a milled receiver. A lot of people don't know that about that gun. It's a completely milled receiver. It shares absolutely nothing in common with a basic Kalashnikov. They share no parts whatsoever. It's a freaking phenomenal firearm, man. It's just too bad here in the States to get into one. They're so rare here. They are available, but they bring like $6,000, man, if you find a real Russian one. There are some Narinkos that came in. Mm-hmm. You can get those in 308. Still, those are $5,000-$6,000 guns.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of testing on them because no one's out there shooting them.
Now, the Narinkos, though, are they coming in at a more affordable price, or is it still just as bad because of the scarcity?
Still about 5 or 6.
Oh, yeah.
They're still, I mean, they are right there with the Russian variants. There's such a close copy that they almost interchange all their parts.
Oh, wow.
They are that good of a copy. Man, Narinko made badass AKs. That's why the Chicom AK collectors in this country are freaking diehards, and they pay $3,000 or $4,000 for their Polytech Legends and their Type 56s and all that crazy stuff that came in back in the 80s.
Yeah, there was like a little video thing on Amazon Prime Video that I was watching the other day, and they was talking about the Tigers versus the Narinkos. It's the bolt the bolt's a little bit different between the two, but other than that, and you can swap those two bolts; they still work.
They're that close.
Yeah.
Actually, one of my friends just so happened to show me pictures of his Polytech AK the other day when I ran into him at the hardware store. I have a couple friends that are big AK guys, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I got a Polytech AK," and I was like, "Wait, you have a what?"
Yeah, is that high dollar, man? He probably, and usually the guys that have the Polytechs, they've got the box. They've still got the plastic wrapping. They've got all the accessories.
I think he bought his
That's
originally.
Just how those things have traveled.
I'll have to ask him. I think he originally bought his at a pawn shop.
Oh, lucky dog.
But he's had it for years. But I think he originally bought it at a pawn shop.
I know, like, I mean, if you go back to, I mean, I think like some of my dad's friends and stuff that were into stuff like back like in the 80s, they used to get a lot of cool. I mean, there was availability on a lot of stuff if you wanted it, because the general public wasn't that into semi-autos back then. It just wasn't. It just wasn't like the way it is now. That's, I think, the same deal like with like even you go like pre-86 with machine guns. A lot of people are just like, why do I want to waste so much ammo? Like they were, just it wasn't.
And now everybody wants a damn machine gun.
They didn't appreciate it, man. My dad worked gun shows in the 80s, and he tells me all the time. He says literally there were auto sears for $50 a box.
Oh yeah, a drop-in auto seal.
Oh, don't tell me that.
Boxes of them, $50. I mean, it was nothing back then. They're getting crates of Chinese SKSs
registered
in.
drop-in
half of them
auto
were
sears,
full auto.
$50.
It was nothing to them back then.
It used to cost you $200 to register it, $50 to buy it.
Oh my god!
You had to buy the $200 stamp for it, and $50 for the part.
Repeal the NFA.
Yeah,
and I asked Dad all the time. I'm like, when you had that amnesty, why didn't you register anything? Like there were guys registering stolen guns. The government didn't care. It was complete amnesty, but you had a short period of time. That's where we get all the weird, rare, cool machine guns that are on the registry during that amnesty phase. Guys were putting stamps on everything they had in the gun safe. That's where you get the weird stuff.
Yeah.
Is that one
it's just such a short period.
No one knew that your great grandpa snuck into the country back.
Yeah, that's like one of those, like, you look and it's like you got an FAL that has like full, like I've seen some weird ones, like a full auto FAL and like crazy, like you're like, wait, did they actually make that, or did somebody just put an auto sear in it? No, they put an auto sear. Oh, okay, because like that's like the most random ass thing ever.
That's always like my top. If I had a time machine thing, I would like go back to like 1984 and tell my dad to buy every M16 he can.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
That's so funny. It's
absolutely.
like you'll send
get,
all
get
you'll send all
non-gun
your
people together
grandkids
and
to
get us
college for
together.
free.
What would you go back in time and do? Well, this guy would probably go buy a sports almanac. You and I would be like, I would go find my dad, tell him get a bank loan. When that amnesty comes around, register every freaking thing you can get your hands
Yes.
on.
I mean,
You'll be a millionaire one day.
In '84, I was a year old, so I mean, I existed, but no, actually, what I'd tell him to do,
I'd have to wait a couple years.
I would just tell him, you need to go to a gun show with a duffel bag and fill it full of fucking drop-in auto sealers.
Just
Like,
all of it.
Yeah,
Yes.
just all of them.
Auto Sears, yes.
And then when your son's born in, like for me, when your son's born in '87, you automatically put all these in and then put a NFA trust. So when he turns 18, he instantly becomes a millionaire.
Like it's funny how like little like $50 stamp pieces of metal sell for $5,000 to $10,000 now.
And said little $5 piece of stamped metal, if you have one illegally, will land your ass.
Oh yeah,
10 months in jail and a $50,000 fine if you're lucky.
That's the start. I mean, yeah. I mean, well, I guess that's the start would be the Felonious Macarena when they come and get you.
No. That's no. I am a meat popsicle, sir. Are you human? Nope. Negative. I am a meat popsicle, sir. So, talk to us a little bit about Kalash-bash.
Ooh, I could talk about that all day. That's like that is. I look at it like a kid, man. That was born over some bratwurst and beer one night at a cookout. That's literally how Kalash-bash was born. It was
that's normally how all good things start, is over beer.
And hot dogs and beer, man. Brats and beer, like better than hot dogs.
Oh yeah.
You guys know? I don't know if you're familiar with Kyber Customs. I'm trying to see if I have one of his.
I've heard of Kyber Customs
products. Yeah, so he makes all of the he makes the cheese graters. Right here, you've probably seen those at a bunch of Rob Ski videos back in the day, and makes all kinds of cool stuff for AKs. Anyway, I actually own a company now with Tony of Kyber Customs, and so that's all cool. And he also makes these third pin threads with AK stuff on them.
By the time this is all done,
Man,
you're going to have to send me a list of all these AK companies, so when I get mine, I can just go and order.
It's not as bad. It's like, it's cool because everything's still kind of small. The AK world is still small compared to like the boat that's sinking on the AR world because so many people have piled into it and it's just so saturated.
You mean
it's
like
still kind of
is that the boating accident that everybody's talking about when they say all their guns disappeared?
Yeah. Yep.
That's the boating accident. I thought so.
Well, so we had Kalashmas. That was a Christmas event, right? We have a local range here. He lets us do anything we want. So we hosted a little Christmas event. We had a few vendors come out. We gave away some guns, totally legal, and had a bunch of machine guns. And we sold out tickets in like a day. And it kind of blew our minds. I'm like, I can't believe people want to like come out here to hang out. Like, I can't believe people will buy a ticket and come out here and hang out. But they did. And everyone had a great time. So we thought, man, we need to do this big. Like, what if we did this big and we had a competition and we had machine guns and we get more vendors in and the prize table's bigger? How many people do you think would actually come out? Like, do we even know that many people? So then we meet Mike and Lan of Dissident Arms. If you're not familiar with Dissident Arms, they build they have actually the world championship title right now, the World Shotgun Open Division Championship of the world. They modify Vepr 12 shotguns into competition 3-gun.
Oh, holy shit.
Freaking things, right? Jeez. Like, baddest on the planet. They have the baddest on the planet, man. They beat the Russians with their own gun in France, and they hold that title for 3 years. So these guys are local. They're right here in Willis. I could throw a rock and hit their shop. So we meet these guys. And these guys, when I tell you they have competed, these guys have been competing for a decade, and they used to host their own match. They throw a bad to the bone match, and they're AK guys. Like, we're on the same wavelength. So we all get together at this bratwurst, and dude, it's like stars align. We get to talking, we get to drinking, and they're like, we've had this idea where we do this big thing, this big AK thing, like a match. And me and Tony are like, yeah, we kind of thought about doing this big thing with like a big carnival. Oh, wouldn't that be great to combine the two? And we all kind of pause for a second. A few beers later, it's like freaking what is that, Captain Planet? All the rings come in together, and it's just like, boom, Kalash-bash is born. We pick a date, we divvy out responsibilities. You guys, you throw the baddest match you possibly can and make it AK friendly. We're going to get a bunch of vendors together that are only in the world of AKs that that can't go to SHOT Show and get their foot in the door because they make AK stuff and no one at SHOT Show cares. So they come out to Kalash-bash, and now every single person that comes out wants to see that product because it fits on the gun that they love. And man, it worked out. So that's what it was. It was 3 days. We had it in College Station last year at the CCC Shooting Club. It's actually where 9-Hole Reviews films all their videos. And man, it was a 2-day competition. I want to say it was about 8 stages. So these guys are shooting 4 stages one day, 4 stages the next day. We gave away $50,000 in product last year. Galil Aces, so IWI is there. Century Arms is there. JMAC Customs, M13, MK3, SDS Imports. We had about 30 vendors on site. We gave away $50,000 in stuff. 2 AKs were custom built by M13. They were worth about $2,000 a piece. Those both went to winners. I mean, Brandon Herrera actually has a pretty good video on it if you do want to look up coverage from last year. So we got Brandon to come out, and that dude has got some freaking fanboys that they're special. He's got some special fanboys that wanted to come out and see him. And that's what it was, man. It was just an AK love fest. I mean, dudes are exchanging phone numbers. Guys are giving out their AK files information. These guys are leaving to go shoot with each other later. These guys are like making lifelong friends.
Damn.
And man, it was
and
just
that's what it should be about. Like that's really what it should be about. Really, in my opinion, the whole 2A community. Like, yeah, okay, you shoot an AK, I shoot an AR. Like, you know, like that's how I believe it should be across the board. Except for 1911 guys. You guys are old.
Man, don't you wish? But man, not to bring a somber tone to it, but it's funny that you say that. I wish it was. I wish it was all like that. But what is with the 2A community? And it's just like we don't need liberals, man. Like we'll destroy more than they attack us. It's insane.
We will destroy ourselves within because we can't get along. I brought that up the other day.
Entire world, dude. It's all everybody's pitted against each other and themselves, even though they don't know why, and it's sad.
It is sad.
That's because they're
great for that, man.
That's kind of what we've been trying to do.
Like human beings.
Yeah. Except when we do when we were doing our COVID-19 rants, then it was just 6 of us sitting on here bitching about everything.
Everyone had their hats on, their tinfoil hats.
No, it was just all of us. It went from COVID to gas prices to gun laws to gas prices to people stockpiling toilet paper to. I think the one night we did a 2.5 hour one, which is like way over ours, just bitching about everything.
Yeah. I had to polish my tinfoil hat after that one. It got a little tarnished.
That one was a good night.
Burning holes in that baby. Working double time.
Yeah. I mean, I had to save up the tinfoil to do it because, they don't make tinfoil anymore. Now it's aluminum foil, and it actually helps the radio broadcasting frequency stuff go.
Oh, would you shut the hell up,
probably
Keith?
Did that just for that reason.
Yep.
So
figured it out.
There you go. So I noticed one sticker, or maybe it's a patch.
Wait, hold on real quick. Just because he mentioned the radio thing, actually, I'm going to do that and not be a jerk about it, but with Keith here, just getting his
yes.
His general license.
Yes. Congratulations, Keith.
He's upgraded his ham. We already knew. He
just got his general license for.
And the actual FCC database updated today.
It actually comes
so
with
no
it.
more AG at the end of that call.
Did you?
So are you going to spend the money and get your own call sign?
It's not. It doesn't cost extra. I mean, I think it's like a filing fee. It's not like.
I'm not getting a vanity.
Yeah.
You're not getting a vanity?
No, I'm not getting a vanity call.
Oh, you should. We'll just call you the Bearded Tank.
You can't. It works. No, it doesn't work that way.
Don't worry.
If
I decide to use my Baofangs legally, which I will, I'm going to get on there, and I will page you as the Bearded Tank.
Well, I mean, you might as well break one of the laws by technically using code words at that point. You're already breaking the law for just for transmitting. So
Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Transmitting on FRS frequencies, on the little FRS family radio service frequencies from the Baofangs is technically illegal because you're using too much power and the antenna is removable.
Yeah, and guess what we may or may not be using like between my $200 handheld DMR and all the Baofangs and all the actual FRS radios when we're up at camp.
Can we all get back on AKs?
Yeah.
Because Clay's looking at us like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
I'm keeping up.
Okay, so Clay, so 50% of the people here right now are ham nerds, and then there's a really short guy in you.
But we shoot.
I was going to ask you guys.
We shoot cool guns.
Between the three of you, who all are vets? Because I've got to get my my kudos out of the way.
None of us.
I'm actually.
Nobody. Okay.
I'm actually going into the guard this year.
Wait, what?
Super late, yes, I didn't. I thought I told you about this.
No.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Oh. Well, that's news.
Okay, I thought I
Gotta happen now. Just let it happen.
But didn't know that.
Yeah, that keeps me from aging out on a lot of the federal police jobs.
Oh, smart idea.
Plus, also getting the benefit of telling work to go work around my schedule.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
I was medically disqualified from military service. 3 broken ankles and a broken back in 3 spots.
Metal plate in my ankle. They told me nope.
Yeah, Keith's got a metal plate in his ankle, and then I'm surprised they're actually helping him at all because he's a mental case.
I think I'm the only one here that actually had to do like for my other certifications. I've actually had to have
I'm still saying you're a mental case. It doesn't mean shit.
Hey, I want to see you pass the psych eval and then tell me that I'm the mental case. I'm not sure that you'd pass.
I don't think a lot of people would pass. I think they were just writing checks that day. Like, yep, we met our quota. Okay.
You guys ever see the Alex Jones podcast with Joe Rogan not too long ago? It's like the greatest thing on the internet.
Was that the one?
Was that when
did he get Alex Jones high on that one? Is that that?
Yeah,
one?
is that the one when he goes, yeah. I'm kind of stupid.
He goes, I'm like slightly retarded.
Yes.
And then, like there's a long pause, and Joe just starts dying laughing.
Yes. That was the...
He's like, you have no clue how much that's going to get memed now. He's like, you should not have said
Yeah,
that. I'm slightly retarded.
That was the best damn thing I've ever seen, because he's like, yeah, I'm slightly retarded. And it was like the longest weird pause.
And it's like, as Joe's like holding a cigarette.
Yeah.
It's just like,
One of them special California cigarettes.
Yeah. He's like, Alex, would you like?
Not yet.
Because Alex, his publicist or whatever, is like, no drugs, no nothing. Joe's like, would you like a puff of this cigarette, kind sir? Now Alex Jones is like, yeah, I'll try a puff of it. I'll do it. And then
weren't they already
put your seatbelt on?
Weren't they already pounding whiskey before that?
Oh yeah,
point?
no, they were already pounding booze before that.
Yeah, it's like the greatest 2.5. Like I think Alex misses his flight because they go for almost 3 hours.
He did
the wildest 3-hour long conversation I've ever listened to.
Was that the one when they actually had what's this futz from 12th Planet on there too?
No, that wasn't that one.
Because I know one time, that might have been years ago, they had Alex on with him at the same time.
Oh, that may have been that one then. Because I think this was only the first time Alex was on.
See, I thought they were on a few times. I know they were cool with each other for a long time.
He's been on a few times.
Yeah,
this is
he's
the
been
most
on a few
recent
times.
time he was on.
Okay.
Because
that was right after Elon Musk was on, right?
The first time when he actually got Elon to smoke on camera.
Yeah,
which
Elon was on recently.
Yeah, I didn't get to see the recent one.
I think the dude's a libertarian after listening to that last
Right.
podcast. I was like, look at you go, man. Some of that stuff he was saying.
No,
Cool.
I just love the
people
picture that come out of like the whole thing of Elon. He was sitting there and was just like, and it's like, oh, this is what life's all about. Like, okay, I'm gonna sit here. That dude is a freaking genius.
Well, it just shows diversity in like you literally go from Alex Jones to Elon Musk as far as.
Speaking of Elon Musk, I don't know if you guys follow SpaceX or any of that shit. Did you see the one?
I'm still waiting for job openings for Space Force.
You and me both.
Sign me up.
Yeah, no. I want to be the space shuttle door gunner. Claiming that spot right
I
now.
want to be the first one to kill bugs, the Starship Trooper style.
Well, I'm claiming. I'm claiming. Yeah. Wait.
I was told we got to kill bugs.
Well, if you look at how the list is going of things that's been happening with the pandemic, that may happen yet. You never know.
Hey,
we haven't got to June
It
yet.
wouldn't be the craziest thing that's happened this year.
No.
No, so since Murder Hornets, what's the next thing supposed to be? Like dolphins with lasers on their head?
No.
Sharks?
I think it's I think it was Murder Hornets, and then it was the Planet of the Apes.
Oh, that's right.
And then the
Zombies is in September, and then Godzilla.
That's good. You know, all my friends are really
like I'm like, can we just move the zombie apocalypse up to July and just move everything to July, and we're just gonna go out with a bang?
That has to be the biggest quarantine like meme of the year. Is like I wanted fucking zombies. This virus is bullshit.
Worst
Where are my zombies?
Virus ever.
Yep.
Oh, that's true. It'll be like I Am Legend. The Mrs. Gnome just pointed
Mrs.
out.
Gnome. She has an actual name.
I know, but she's your wife right now.
She's an angry woman.
She looks quite content right now with her.
Yeah. Speaking of which,
chicken.
Sunday will be our anniversary. She's put up with my ass for 12 years.
Ah.
Hey,
Happy anniversary,
yesterday
Zach.
was.
What the hell are you thinking?
Oh, congratulations!
I was drunk.
Hey, I'll tell you one funny thing about Rachel, and I know she's not watching this, so I'll get away with it. I got to bust her balls sometimes. She says things sometimes, and we have a board on our refrigerator, and I write down the crazy shit that she says just so later. I don't want to forget because it's such a good story later. And I'll just tell you one. We are watching TV one day, and like they show like a clip from Sesame Street or something, and Big Bird comes walking out, and he does this thing, and he's like, "Oh, glad you learned how to count," or whatever, and walks off. And she goes, keep in mind, this is like a 70s era episode. And she goes, "Oh, I remember now. It was a documentary, and they show the guy that played Big Bird." And she's like, I can see she's puzzled when we're watching this. And they show the guy that plays Big Bird, and they show the suit. And it goes back to the guy and shows the suit. And she goes, "Oh, I thought it was a robot the whole time." I'm like, what?
Wait.
She says, "I thought it was like a robot thing, like a Chuck E. Cheese."
Like an animatronic?
Nice.
Like the whole time that Sesame...
Very, like full sentences with children.
I
thought it was a robot.
Speaking of funny things with Sesame Street, back in January before all this hit, I had to do a check baggage thing of Elmo.
Oh yeah,
like the full Elmo suit. Like the guy asked if he could like have it checked off the checkpoint so the kids wouldn't see it and stuff because like it was the full Elmo suit for
like Sesame on Ice or whatever.
Yeah, and he was like, "Can you guys check that like somewhere where like kids aren't going to see that?"
Well, he should have. First off, that probably should that probably should have went up to oversized.
No, that the hood, like the actual Elmo face and everything. Like moves, the eyes move and everything.
That
thing cost like $8,000.
I've checked in rifles that are probably 15.
And he's like, "Can you just check?" Well, the rest of the suit went through luggage, but it was the head. And he's like, "Can you just like check that away from the kids?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, dude. Like, what's so special about it?" He goes, he leans over and he's like, "That's Elmo." And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah. Don't worry." I was like, okay, like I wanted to be that guy and like put the Elmo head on and just come walking out of the the private screening room.
Wow,
Elmo, the TSA agent. "I'm here to pat you down."
Wow, that's how you now.
That's how you lose your job.
I was just thinking that just seems like a lot of court cases have there's been things filed.
Don't even go there. I know where you're going. Just shut up.
Yeah, that's the kind of ticket you like frame or you stick it to your refrigerator. Like, no, that happened. I actually wore this animatronic Elmo thing. I lost my job over it, but totally worth it.
Yeah, totally worth it.
Chasing kids.
Nice. I don't know what else. I think I've. Do you guys have any questions for Clay? I think I've asked him every question that I've wanted to.
I asked him about the competing. He basically said, "Check it out. We do this like we're not scared, and we use mil spec barrels.
We're not scared."
So that was cool.
Yeah,
he's like, "Marco, I can shoot with this commie gun."
A lot of people. I get the most technical questions from this COVID thing has made more first time AK buyers than I've ever seen because the inbox never stops. It's always, "Hey, Clay, first time AK buyer here," over and over again, and they ask the same questions. "I've got this AK. What do I do to it? What do I buy? I can't wait to bolt a bunch of crap on it that I'm going to get tired of." And,
I'm guilty of that because
crap off later.
I did that because I was like, "Hey, I'm like getting this AK. It's been in a flood. What do I need to upgrade while I'm carrying this thing apart?"
if it's a properly built AK, you should just run it.
Oh no, like I didn't know what I should like change out, do whatever, and he's like, "There's a bunch of stuff you can do."
Well,
I was like,
yeah,
"Okay,
put a dot on it." I don't know.
Well, I'm gonna now. I know I'm going to shorten the barrel.
I think I do. The kind of shooting that I'm interested in, a lot of people, they either aren't interested in it or they don't have access to it. So there's not matches happening in everyone's backyard. And believe it or not, a lot of people are super intimidated to sign up and go shoot a match.
Well,
I don't know what it is. A lot of guys are just,
Here's the thing with
they don't want to
sports.
go and feel like jabronis or something. I don't know, but they're totally intimidated by it.
Men don't like to do shit they don't think they're good at. And they're afraid of being embarrassed and not being the fucking, you know what I mean?
They don't want to be, if they're not top dog, they're afraid to do it.
And even then, like, say they find out the equipment they have wasn't the right stuff. Like, a lot of dudes get real, like, their egos get real hardcore attached to the shit they buy. That's why every time you hear any gun forum, they say, hey, which should I get, this or this? They don't ask what they should get because they already have made up their mind as what they think was right. So
they just want to see what everybody else says.
When everyone says, wow, you're wrong as dick cancer, and don't buy that shit.
Yeah. It's funny,
that's
man.
a good one. I
will tell you, one match, if you shot one match, just a light, easy, like a 5-stage carbine match, what is that? Like 150 rounds total to complete the entire match?
Yeah.
If you think about it, a match that lasts one day, 5 stages, you are actually shooting on the trigger a combined time of maybe 2 minutes. Because each stage you're knocking out in like 60 seconds. It's like beat, go, target, 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 run, target, target, finish. All right, times 43, whatever.
No, hold on.
Times 5. So you're really not shooting that much.
Sorry, separate thing. Keith, that credit goes to James Yeager. I was the first person I've ever heard say that.
Oh, Jesus.
So don't credit me.
Think about it, man.
Credit me to the wrong as dick cancer.
Nothing.
Just doing that stuff so long. I was that guy, man. I had all the Zenit Co. crap on my AK. All the stuff I thought looked cool and I thought I needed. I went out there and it's like, damn, this thing's heavy. And like, just you learn real quick what you can do without. Because when you're there, all you're thinking about is like, ooh, man, I want to do good. I want to be competitive. I want to be fast. I want to be accurate. What's the bare minimum I need to run on this thing just to do what I need to do? And you'll get down to like a red dot and that's it.
I was gonna say
a trigger. Maybe a muzzle device.
Based on what I saw on your rifles,
red dots.
You cut the barrel
and a good muzzle brake.
Good muzzle brake. Put a dot on it. What else are you doing to these guns usually?
Well,
I mean,
there's two different ways I like to shoot a match. One way, if I'm taking it super stinking seriously, then I've got these AKs that are pimped to the freaking max. The barrel is definitely going to be cut down, recrowned, rethreaded, pin and weld. Combine your front sight post with your gas block. It's a combo block. It's all one unit. Tunable gas, which you don't need, but if you're going to suppress it, you absolutely need to tune your gas. Don't throw a can on an AK unless you can tune your gas. It's terrible. This little apparatus here is pretty sweet. This is made by SaberWorks. It actually replaces your front sight block. That's a standard front sight block. SaberWorks front sight block.
Interesting.
It's actually a dovetailed unit. So no matter what optic you buy, whether it's a scope or whatever, there's a little push pin here. You can slide it off.
Rear sight, right?
Yeah, basically.
Yep.
It takes.
No, you said in front. Yeah, just making sure we're saying.
There's a block here. This whole front sight block has to be pressed off the barrel. And then this new unit is pressed on, and it gives you a modular optic mounting system. Notice how there's no rail here, just completely streamlined. Puts the red dot right in the center. So a lot of guys are using like RS regulate mounts if they have the rail here. You see a lot of guys like the RD guns, they use an Ultimac or railed gas tube and they'll put it there. This is the bee's knees, but it's gunsmith installed, so a lot of people don't use them. But for my no bullshit competition rig, it's this one. I am a bit of a pansy pants, and I will put an AR buffer tube on there.
No.
And upgraded grip. The ALG trigger, man, is, to me, it's one of the best things that has ever come out for AKs. I can shoot an AK faster than any other freaking gun. Get any gun.
Yeah, that was AK, one thing I was going to mention, because I watched that one video and there was about 100 comments on there. Dude, is that thing full auto? And you're like, no, it's semi. And like somebody else says, is that full auto? No, it's semi. I was like, can you all just read the damn comment before you?
No, that's people don't read. Period.
Now, the one thing I did notice on that gun, I wanted to ask you: do you have the the safety lever on that? Is that the one that'll hold the bolt open?
Yeah, but it's stupid. You'll never use it.
You won't use it? Okay. Because that was the one cool thing I seen. I was
does.
like, dude, I kind of like that idea. And then, yeah.
You can see that there.
Damn.
Seems a little
It's
counterintuitive.
cool, but you'll never use it. You'll honestly never use it.
it's-
The only reason you would ever use that is if you go to like a normal gun range and the guy's walking down the line, ceasefire, bolts open, whatever. It's an AK. You can't lock the bolt open. So
Yeah.
that's really the only use you'd ever get out of that. Other than that, it just puts a hole in the side of the gun that dust can get into. The safety on an AK is also meant to act like a dust cover when it's engaged. Completely seals up the side of the gun. So it's kind of counterintuitive, but it holds your bolts open if you need it to.
Nice.
Yeah, I was almost just thinking like the way AKs are run generally, especially in any kind of like speed or tactical sense. Like when the hell are you messing with that to hold the bolt open? Like that's just gonna.
It's just a range thing. But I seen that.
You'll never use it.
Yeah. I seen it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And then I was like, "But you'll never use it."
See, I'm
No,
not.
so now that's made by Creds. Now they make them without it because so many guys were begging them. We love the safety. We love the paddle. We don't really need the bolt hold open. Can you just leave that filled in?
Yeah,
So
I
now
did
you can
see
buy it
that.
either way. At the time, though, when I was buying these like crazy, that's all they made was the one with the groove cut out.
Well, they probably.
So
thought
man,
that was
look,
their
and the
niche.
other way. So you guys were asking matches, right?
Mhm.
If I don't, I mean that gets boring to me. Like the super pimped out Gucci AKs, that gets really boring to me. This never gets old to me. Just a stanky old stamped gun with military surplus wood with trench art that some dude has scratched up somewhere. This gets me going. So this, dude, all you need, here's a red dot. I'm just going to slide that Johnny on there. Throw my lever. Bam. Now I have a perfectly capable rifle. This can have a standard trigger. This can have just a typical little muzzle brake that you thread on. This is just an AK. This is no different than a Wasser 10. The only difference between this and a Wasser 10 is it's got magwell dimples. Wasser 10s are slab-sided. They don't have that. This is no different. It's the same gun. I have more fun running setups like this. Classic setups with a couple of modern features. Red dot, trigger, and if I'm feeling froggy, throw a little muzzle brake on there. That's 3 components, and that will make it just as capable as any AR-15 that shows up. As long as you know what you're doing and you know how to run it, it's perfectly capable of keeping up with any of those guys.
Now, as
Half
far
the time, those guys just buy all that stuff because they feel like they need to, but you really don't.
now for someone that wants to shoot competition, is there a certain kind of like mid starting point? I don't know. Like as far as like certain like make and model, so to speak, we'll go put it in kind of car terms there. As far as like where you consider the start of an AK worth buying, like that's something that would be competition ready. Is there kind of a level where like these ones don't even fucking work, up to stuff that gets you into competition?
Atlantic Arms.
So you'll hear the term AKM. All AKM is that's AK modernized. That's a spec of AK. So you got milled AKs. That's the real AK-47 was like the Type 1 and Type 2 milled AK-47s. Those are a completely different spec. The stocks bolt differently. The wooden handguards bolt on differently. The grips bolt on differently. There's a lot of differences. AKM, which is this gun I just showed you, this is your Wasser 10s, all the PSA AKs that are coming out now. AKM. If you're going to start somewhere, make sure it's AKM spec because you're going to have the biggest aftermarket support. Every one of their brothers making parts for AKM AK. So they'll have the single tang in the rear for a stock. Every one of their brothers making buffer tube adapters. That you've got RS Regulate rails. SLR Rifle Works makes some stellar rails for these things. The muzzle brakes, they're all going to be 14x1 left hand. Ton of muzzle brakes that are available for these things. Tunable gas systems are available for these things. Typically, you'll have absolutely no issue with any mag. And stick with 7.62x39 when you're looking for these AKMs, because you can honestly find mags. Kick a rock over, you're going to find an AK mag for $10.
I was going to say, I think
even if it's rusty.
I do believe my local antique shop had like 20 of them for like $5 a piece. AK mags.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think I have any. If you ever come across these are like my go-to for competition, the Bakelite.
The
mags.
Bakelights. I was going to say, are they Bakelite?
Yep. Notice they're actually slick-sided, and they don't have a spine like a standard metal mag. They go in and out a little bit smoother. And the way I do my reloads, you've probably seen in some videos, I'm like using my thumb and I'm kicking that paddle and the mag goes flying. That can be a little painful when you're doing that against a metal mag that has that sharp spine down the back. The Bakelites, dude, it's like warm butter. But
do you get the same
they're
reliability?
really hard to get in the country now, so people are charging quite a bit of money for them.
Are the Bakelite ones still as reliable, you find, or you ever have any issues?
Oh, dude.
Yeah. They're
This
just
mag
as
right
reliable.
here was probably made in the late 70s, and I have never taken it apart, never cleaned them. I probably got about 20 of them, all dating back to the 70s. And there's
so
pictures of these things. They use them in landfills in Russia when they upgrade their mags. There's literally pictures of these. They are filling potholes with them to get machinery across wherever it is they're going.
That's sad.
Yes. There's not many. There's really no bad AK mags. When you stick with ComBlock and surplus AK mags, there really are no bad ones. There's none. You'll find Russian paratrooper mags that are made out of aluminum. That was the only mag where Russia was like, yeah, okay, maybe no aluminum mags. Steel and Bakelite. That's it.
Yeah. Maybe not a good idea.
Yeah. There's none, dude. You've got the Circle 10 Bulgarian AK mags. Any 7.62 non-American made magazine that's military grade, it will last your lifetime. You're never going to wear the spring out. You're never going to hurt it. Worst case scenario, you dent one of these mags. You'll see dudes in the field over there. They cut windows into them. A lot of people think they do it because it looks cool. Most of these guys are cutting the mags because there's dents in them and the follower can't progress. So they just cut the side out of the mag and it keeps running.
Was it you?
No dent
Was it you that did the video with that?
Mag has dent. We cut it out. Fuck it.
Did you do
quite a few of them?
I was gonna say you did the video where. Was it you that did the video where you guys had shot a mag and it still ran?
Yeah. We took about 3 different manufacturers' magazines. We took them to a range and we just started blasting them with 9mm and 223. The Bulgarian Circle 10 mag, which is a military grade mag, it took like 10 9mm shots and I don't know how many 223s. I've got it actually. Hold on, I think I've got it. Stand by.
If it's the one I think it is, like that mag was destroyed.
Now I'm ticked that I just realized that I don't have a drum roll saved on here right now. Son of a gun.
Oh wait, here's one right here.
Here, this is for the Chernobyl earlier. We'll do that.
You guys can see that?
Okay, enough. Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
What? Hold on. You need Keith. Yeah, there we go.
So this mag still runs perfectly fine. This is a Bulgarian
Perfectly fine.
polymer mag.
Yeah,
Perfectly fine. You can get about 15 rounds out of this mag. Perfectly fine.
yeah. That's the one when I was talking about. Like when I seen that, I was like, no shit.
Well, check this out. Do you see the spine right here?
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing holding these two halves together. The Bulgarians got mags down right, dude. So there's a metal cage. So your feed lips are steel reinforced. There's a metal cage. You can see the metal poking through on these little injection mold holes here. You've got a spine running down the entire front of the mag. There's also a spine running down the back a little bit, and you've got steel locking lugs. Any other mag can be completely severed. There's nothing holding the two portions together. So it's polymer, so it doesn't dent. To shoot through it, it just fractures. It has no memory to the polymer, so you're not going to have like you would with aluminum. You've got your entry wound and your exit wound. It just fractures. See the clean holes?
Yeah.
Enters and exits clean. The follower has no obstructions. We did this to 3 different mags. This mag to this day, and it ran. The 7.62 version we did still runs in full auto. The spring can still move quickly enough to keep up with post samples.
So if you're recommending like kind of the ultimate in durability or reliability on a mag, you go Bulgarian. Then is the Bulgarian polymers the mag?
Yes, 7.62 by 3.9. I've got them all, but I don't want to get off camera.
Oh, that's good.
With 7.62 by 3.9, to me, the Bulgarian black, they're called waffle mags. Arsenal sells them. To me, that is the gold standard. They're about $44 a pop, but the good news is they're still coming in the country. Bakelite, to me, is still the end-all, be-all. It has the same metal reinforcements, but it's made out of a type of like a fiberglass. So doesn't hold up to you shooting it with ammo as well. Only problem with Bakelites, dude, like 2 years ago, they were coming in like crazy. you could buy them for $25-$30.
And now you can't.
Ever since the Russian sanctions have really made it difficult. Right now, the only way that stuff comes in the country is a guy that knows a guy that can get it over here.
That knows a guy that may have traded a guy for a couple of Adidas tracksuits.
That's the only way they come over. And now, dude, this mag right here, I bought 3 years ago for $26. Now they're selling for $80 a piece. It's not even worth getting into them. Not when you have like steel mags that are still available and the Bulgarian mags. That's AKs though, man. Stuff comes and goes, and the prices go like this. It's always changing.
That's kind of like even with Magpul though. Like I bought most. Have you ever see like my giant box of?
Yes, you have Magpul mags.
Well, yeah, but most of mine are the E mags, which are made to work with some of the European spec too. But I got those for like half the price of a normal P mag with the window in them and everything. For like and I should have bought twice as many as I did.
Yeah,
because now they cost more than they're like a Gen 3 window mag now, and it's just one of them. Yeah, when you find a good deal, like it's like spend as much as you feel you'll ever need on those. It seems like is the way to go.
Yeah.
AK price. Look, as Alex Jones, I'm going to steal a line from Alex Jones here. As an AK guy, we're all slightly retarded. So one dude will get on AK Files and bid up some crazy mag to some stupid number that no one's ever paid before. And now everyone sees that, and it gets shared 50 times. Everyone's like, "Holy crap, that's what those mags are worth now!"
And now everybody's going to charge that.
Like resets the market. That happens on AK Files all day long. Happens on Facebook. Happens on Instagram. It's like the guys that go to those wine collections when they're selling those really rare and exotic bottles of wine. They'll send those moles in there just to bid prices up, and then they dip. So now everyone thinks that this bottle of wine that yesterday was worth $2,000, now it's worth $12,000, and it will forever be worth $12,000. People do that with AK stuff.
That's like the $6,000 bottle of what was that champagne at the one steakhouse in Florida?
I mean, just in general.
It was a $6,000 bottle of champagne that was like from the table to the it was like that big, and I was like,
that's an imperial size.
They're like, I was like $6,000 for a bottle of champagne. They're like, oh yeah, that's like the sixth one that we've had. I was like, who the hell is buying $6,000 bottles of champaign?
Is the go-to culinary nerd here? I will say that people get too bent out of shape. Generally, pretentious people that don't know more other than how to make themselves look like they know what they're talking about spend a lot of money on wine. Now, to be fair,
it's a bunch of bullshit.
One of my watch what you say about wine, because remember, I make homemade wine.
I didn't. Yeah, and I'm sure you're not charging $6,000 a bottle. So what I'm saying is,
maybe I should.
It's, you know what? Here's the fine. If you find the right asshole to buy it once, then you're set.
Yep.
But that's
just play
the thing.
The game.
It's like honestly, there's bottles of wine. Like actually, one of my favorite types is one of the most overpriced things from France, as far as. But I buy the cheapest version of it, and it's still delicious. There's versions of the same wine that I spend $18 for a split of that go for $700 a bottle.
Yeah, no.
Now to be fair, Chateau de Quem, which is the one I'm talking about, that's like averages about $700 a bottle, was Thomas Jefferson's drink of choice. That was his wine.
I'll just stick to my Jack Daniels and Tito's vodka.
That just something like that, just his name being attached to it is one of the reasons why it's so sought after.
I think it's more just they have been one of the like Supreme Crew, whatever you want to put. They've been like the top sauterne since that time. I'm probably never going to spend the money to taste the difference, and I'm sure it's fantastic, even if but $700 or $18. So it's about a lot of things. It's finding what is good that you can afford, or what that is actually worth what you're paying. I mean, because good and cheap is actually, my goal usually. Like what's,
that is an excellent point. That's why if you start buy a ton of these surplus Comblock steel mags, this is probably a Bulgarian or an East German. It's probably older. It's most definitely older than I am. By a lot, and it still looks brand new, still functions great.
And then you paint it bright yellow and put a Chiquita sticker on the side of it.
So the
bingo.
There it is. So the Comblock Bulgarian is kind of your go-to as far as like this is what we're stocking up on. Like if you need some mags to run when you first get your AKM. I'm trying to
surplus steel
mags.
All right,
Yep.
and now with the red dot mounts here, I know you were showing us like the kind of the best route seems to be that little pick rail mount on the rear sight block, whatever I don't know AK stuff.
Yeah, that would be the rear sight block.
Now, what was that?
But then there's this one which goes into the old scope mount.
Now, something like that. How does that like work out as far as like repeatable zeros? You seem to have good. If you take that on and off, like it works out well.
Yeah, RS Regulate. You can watch any of the big YouTube channels like Mac and IV88, even AKOU, any of them. Anyone that's used these, they're pretty much the gold standard for using the original optic mount on AKs. RS Regulate. Actually, the rail that you saw in my competition rig, that's also an RS Regulate product. His name's Scott. Very smart guy. Supports our event. I was buying this stuff ever before I ever met him. He actually, if you've seen my Galil Ace that I do all that stupid stuff with,
yes,
that rail that's on that gun, that's also an RS Regulate product. That rail on that thing.
Oh, nice. That's actually really cool looking.
A Trigicon, but he makes them for any red dot that you can buy. He makes them.
So if you're just running like I mean, does he do in that are just like a standard pick rail that like you can throw whatever you want on there, or is it he kind of tunes them?
You can do a standard pick rail upper if you want. Just add some pick. It'll add some pick rail on top of your dust cover, and you can add whatever you want. He sells some with 30 millimeter scope rings. Puts it right where you'd want it to be, and you have a little forward.
Are you considering getting an AK, John?
I'm just trying to think of the things that an AK buyer would want.
I'm just saying, it looks like you're considering an AK.
I've been considering an AK for.
You also have Ultimac rails, so if you're familiar with Rifle Dynamics, I'll get Rachel's gun out because she has one.
That was always my.
These are super easy. This just replaces your gas tube. She's actually got the KOP as well, and this adds a bit of pick rail on your gas tube. It's Rifle Dynamics has been using these for the better part of 10 years.
That's a nice looking gun.
Great.
Well, it's Rifle Dynamics. It fucking should look like it is a nice.
But that's.
This is not Rifle Dynamics. This is actually built by M13 Industries. Okay. Yeah, this is called an Ultimac. RD does use these still to this day. That's their optic mounting solution for their really high end AKs. Wow. They use Ultimacs right here. Now, you can put it on in 10 minutes. They're available today.
With you being such an AK guy, what is your favorite dot to run on one, or what is your favorite sighting system aside from like the factory? Because obviously you seem to like to go back to old school sometimes too. So
I love the iron sights, man. I've got the Trigicon MRO on my main rig.
I was gonna say
big open MRO field of view, and those are great. But dude, you're gonna think I'm crazy. These little pistol optics, the RMR, dude. I'm gonna buy 2 or 3 more. And the SRO, I will say right now, I think the baddest red dot on the market right now is the Trigicon SRO. For an AK, money. It's freaking perfect.
Nice.
Because those things, they're meant to mount low. The way AKs are just built, the reason that these stocks have such a drastic drop to them, your cheek set's really low on an AK. So when you're choking up on it, I mean, you are jamming that stock into your cheekbone. It's a very low bore axis for where you're mounting your red dot. Like guys on ARs, usually you always have a bit of a riser for it to sit comfortably in your line of sight. AKs, you want that red dot as close to that dust cover, as low as possible, because that's just where your cheek falls out on stocks. When you see those dudes mount, I've never understood it. Guys will actually space these red dots up, kind of like they do on ARs. I guess they just think they're supposed to because that's what you do on ARs. It gives you a chin weld on AKs. You have to get your head so high to be in line with that red dot. That's why I've really become a fan of these optics, really meant for slide riders for pistols.
Yeah.
They're really low, they're small, and on a standard AK using that factory side mount, they mount so low, it is right where your cheek falls out comfortably on the stock without coming up on your chin or your jaw to get in line. So right now, man, I would say like Trigicon RMRs and SROs, for me, they're money right now on AKs.
Yeah, I do like the red dot on there. It gives it that, it's low profile, but it looks sleeker.
Honestly, I like dots on everything in general. I mean, like actually up until recently, even like for my pistols, I've always for anything that can change sights on, I've always run the XS big dots on them. And I actually finally shot a dot on a pistol at a class, and I was like, "Oh, son of a gun!" Like I think I need this in my life too, because it was like cheating.
Yeah, it's like this is the future. This is what the future is. And another thing, man, if you shoot pistols quite a bit, if you are super comfortable on pistol sights, you will be right at home on AK irons. It's basically pistol sights. It's an open U-notch in the rear, and it's a single post out front. They're just a little bit farther away, but they're basically pistol sights on a rifle.
To be fair, the pistol
they work
sights
the same way.
the pistol sights that I'm
Shut up, your big dot.
That's the big dots are basically what I use for everything. Like it's like the very shallow V and the big golf ball.
Dude, you put a big dot on a freaking set of flip-ups for your rifle.
I did, and I got yelled at by James Yeager for that.
No shit.
Oh wow. You could put one on an AK if you must.
Don't tell him that.
It.
Don't tell him.
No. Honestly, I will say that although for close range, the big dot on the AR little pistol was fun to play around with, but even just trying to sight it in at like 30 yards showed me that it was it's not a wise, like they actually XS does make a white stripe that works fantastic for the front post on an AR. That big dot seems kind of dumb unless you know that you're only going to use it for very close range. It's kind of dumb.
Oh, it fits for the owner.
Well,
so what's the AK version of the Poverty Pony?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Atlantic Arms.
PSA.
Man, Atlantic's making some cool stuff though with some of their Romanian kit builds.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So price. So the Anderson stuff that's priced really low, right? So let's think. Man, still to this day. So a lot of guys are having good luck with the PSA stuff, but I personally have never shot one. I just don't have any experience with them, so I don't know good or bad. But I've got close friends that have bought them as their first AKs, and they absolutely love them. To me, though, still to this day, if you can get into a new Wasser for like around $700, cheap AKs don't exist anymore. They really don't. And if they do, they're cutting costs somewhere. It's just the way it is. You can buy an AR that will work just fine for $499 and it will last. You cannot buy a good AK for $499. They don't exist, and if they do, stay the hell away. There's no way that they're selling it and making a profit at that price range while having any kind of good build quality. So if you can find a Wasser, a new production Wasser, get rid of the crappy wood that's just 922R crap. Get rid of that. Put some good com block wood on it, or maybe some modern options if you want to modernize it a little bit. Some a rail, M4 adapter, or some polymer furniture, whatever. But the bones of the gun are com block. They are made on com block machinery. You are getting a cold hammer forged chrome line barrel that will go 25,000 rounds beyond. And you have really good bones in that rifle. It's just for some reason, man, a lot of people have a problem with Century, and they're attached to that name because they're an importer. So a lot of people are like, ooh, Century bad. So they stay away from Wassers. But dude, the Wasser, get them now while they're $700, because the way trends are going, it'll be a $900 rifle. Just
I was going to say, I never had a problem with my Wasser.
Options.
See, that's the part that I think has been the hardest thing now for me, is trying to get into an AK. Is like, I remember whenever like the ARs cost, like if you wanted a decent AR anyway, like it seemed like you were paying double what you could get a pretty good, like a really nice AK at one point. Like it seemed like it was always so affordable, and now not like
And then Rifle Dynamics came out.
Well, and that's what I was always like.
See, I always get shit, especially from Zach, for my Poverty Pony, but it might not be Gucci, but it still sends lead down range, don't it?
Oh, look.
I don't know. I've never shot with you with it.
Dude, from an AK guy, I have gone through the AR phase. I've had 5 builds that I assembled, just slapping parts together in the safe at one time. I was that guy one time. I will tell you, dude, I don't care if it's got a C stamped on the side of the receiver or whatever forge it came from. I don't see enough of a difference from an Anderson lower to a Colt lower to a Spikes tactical lower to see why they're even priced differently. Just a roll mark.
Oh God,
they all perform exactly the same.
Don't go any higher than Spikes. If you start getting into Knights and Hodges and stuff and Sons of Liberty. Well, I'm a Sons of Liberty guy, but see, then you start offending people.
Out. Well, me and these two, I was trying to explain to them the one time about this. Like a mil spec lower is a mil spec lower to me. If it's mil spec, the holes are on the fucking right spot, and if you put good parts in it, it should work fine.
But if it's mil spec, it has a third hole.
That's not what they mean.
No, you said mil-spec. It has to have a third hole.
There are mil-specs for semi-auto only. The military does issue semi-auto only for some applications. It still follows a mil-spec.
Would that be for cooks and chefs and clerks?
I'll tell you this much, my man. So I remember growing up back during the ban era. I remember at that time, all you really had was Colt. You had Bushmaster, and you had Rock Island. Is it Rock Island? No, it's what is the other one?
River. DPMS.
No, you had DPMS.
Rock River.
Rock
River. Yes.
Yeah, Rock River Arms.
Yeah, and Rock River was like selling ARs with like 2-stage triggers before anyone was doing it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So back then, those were your guys. You didn't have 100 different people making AR lowers like you do now, 1,000 different people. So I'll put it just to put things into perspective. This is a freaking Bushmaster lower from right before the ban. At one time, it had a 20-inch H-bar, which Bushmaster loved putting big, fat, chunky barrels and everything. This upper did not have M4 feed ramps. I cut them in with a Dremel. With a freaking Dremel, my man.
Oh, God.
This thing runs on post-sample lowers. It's basically it's a 1997 North Hollywood shootout clone. Perfectly cloned, correct, other than the third hole. But this is what Immel actually shot up the bank with, and it's laying next to his dead body when they finally caught him. Still in the LAPD museum today with their clothing. The guy's holding it with the big dual beta drum. I found those pictures and looked up a parts list and assembled this thing. This thing is dead on reliable. Matches. And, dude, I'm not even into ARs, okay? But I know that this thing is nothing special. It isn't. I had to cut M4 feed ramps into it just to get it to run reliably. Nothing special, dude. And like I say, this thing we'll take it out to machine gun shoots. I'll take this upper, we'll throw it on a post sample lower, and it will just run. And dude, we're post sampling lowers that are not mil spec. Those are throwaway lowers, and they run and run and run without cleaning. So it's like when you see stuff like that, and I hear guys they get really bent out of shape about roll marks. I just haven't seen enough difference in the way they operate to see a big difference in that big price jump between the different roll marks.
The
I just
only
don't
thing
see it.
I see, like reliability wise, generally or accurate, like all everything you see really comes down to the upper to me as far as on an AR. If the upper is built right and the lower was built competently, it should work fine.
I just like giving Keith shit about it, but I have seen a couple of the Anderson lowers blown apart. That's why I give Keith shit about it.
And it was probably
there's plenty of AKs that turn their barrels into banana peels. I mean, dude, every gun fails.
And like
none of them are bulletproof.
And honestly, in both those cases, it was probably more likely bad ammo, not the gun.
Yeah, or the dude getting like a. So sometimes they'll have like a squib load, and they're like, I don't know what happened. I'll just shoot another one.
No, I think that's what happened to the one that I seen.
Boom.
And then the other one was
squib load is again bad ammo.
The other one was a poly lower.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Poly lowers are awesome when they explode.
Every time I hear squib load, now all I think about is that glorious photo of the bisected high point
with the 15 fucking rounds in it
together,
all stacked.
Yes, yeah. I was like, when I seen that, I was like, I almost please tell me that you guys sent him a new gun just for being that guy and not killing himself. Like that should have blown up.
Tried to put a 300 blackout through a 5.56 barrel.
Oh, those always turn out good.
Like that long. Can't see my fingers. Just stretched out like that.
Oh yeah,
long.
it stretched it out. Yeah.
Nice.
So
I almost bought a high point carbine after that, just because it was that was too like.
No.
Dude, I shit you not. I've sent out a big message to a bunch of the Instagram followers. I want a box of all that crappy Tapco stuff people were bolting on AKs back in the mid 2000s. I want a cheek riser that sets my red dot a foot off the gun. I want the weird, funky folding stocks and the Galil handguards and all the stupid stuff people were bolting on. And I want to go shoot a match with it. Like a big saw, pistol grip, just everything dudes were adapting to AKs.
Let me ask my one friend. I may be able to at least get you the saw pistol grip.
What?
I may be able to get you at least the saw pistol grip. I think my friend has one of those.
Nice. They look so goofy on AKs.
Other than that, like I got all my questions answered. I think you got your questions answered. Keith, do you have any other questions?
Not really. I don't know hardly anything about AKs, so I mean, just listening.
I feel like I've learned more off Klay.
I was gonna say, talk to Klay. You'll probably learn a lot. So,
Yeah, man. Well,
go ahead, Clay. What were you gonna say?
oh no, I was just gonna say thanks for having me on, and man, I think I can talk about AKs for so long that eventually the metaphorical hook will drag me off screen. So
I'm pretty sure we could have you back on. I'm pretty
about
sure I'll be hitting you up to have you back on again to talk more about AKs because I like AKs.
for sure, man.
It was a lot of fun.
Man, so October, we've changed the date to Kalash-bash to October because of the big toilet paper shortage and whatnot. October 10th and 11th, we've opened ticket sales back up. I think we've got currently about 300 people signed up. We're going to let it go. We're not capping tickets at all. We're going to let as many people buy tickets as they want to because the campground is so huge. The range owner's like, man, if you somehow get like 700 people out here, then I'll say, all right. But we're not going to get anywhere near that. So as many people as we can cram into this place, the more the merrier. It's going to be a freaking blast. Kalashnikov USA is our title sponsor. They're the guys making those badass bitch-ass clones, the KP9s. Really great guys. And we have right now probably 25, 30 other vendors signed up. There's going to be so many machine guns there it'll blow your balls out of your butt. So if you guys want, buy a ticket, get the time off work, come down. We should be far enough away from this virus where we're not going to have to reschedule again. Hopefully I can get all you guys out there. And you don't even need to bring an AK. Just bring your asses and come out and shoot machine guns and have a blast. Maybe you'll win your first AK because we're giving away dozens of them.
There you go, Keith. I think maybe we need to make a trip.
Yeah, maybe.
Yep.
Other than that, where can everybody find you at well, not your personal page, but where can people find you at on social media?
Zach to stalk you. And
you want my social security number?
He already has it. It's fine. We made some calls.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could have. No, shut up. You're gonna make me look terrible.
You can find us on Instagram, Clayco47 spelled with a K, named after the old Chinese Clayco imports. So it's Clayco47. It's also Clayco47 on Facebook and YouTube. Same name all the way around. We do a lot of how-tos for you beginners getting into AKs, show you how to zero them, show you how to do reloads, safety manipulation, how to safely tear the gun down, how to clean it, how to operate it. That way you don't have to go and feel like you're asking silly questions to a guy. Just go watch the videos. We lay it all out. We take it down to the basics, and then we build you up, and we get into really some really exotic, cool stuff that you can do with your AKs. It's all on there, man. We have tons of content for you guys.
Does that include shooting AKs in Hawaiian shirts?
Gratuitous amounts of shooting AKs in Hawaiian shirts and pit vipers. Tons and tons. Come get your fill. It's almost.
Oh no, that's literally how
Hawaiian shirts. I'm like, man, is this like a lame thing people do now? Is wear Hawaiian shirts? I'm gonna keep wearing them.
See,
I didn't know it was like a lame thing to do.
Oh no, that was literally how I first actually. The first video I seen of him was before like all the Boog boys were wearing Hawaiian shirts. Was of him like just running an AK in Hawaiian shirt, and I was like, dude, that's badass.
It is. I was just thinking. I thought the proper attire was an Adidas tracksuit.
No, that's only if you're around me.
So played out. All the Boog boys. It's like there's just this overload of tracksuits and balaclavas. Everyone's Facebook post. It's all just, man. I'm kind of
come on.
Over that. I'll leave that to the Boog boys.
I just tried to convince the wife to let me buy one of the ones from Goptak. That's the camouflage one. And she goes, seriously?
Yeah,
she's like, are you seriously going to wear it? I was like,
now,
it's a multicam.
I saw that part, but was it like a multicam velour though? I think it needs to be a velour too. It needs to be like a velour tracksuit. It needs to.
It's like a regular Adidas tracksuit, but in multicam.
See, I'm more of like a late '80s fluorescent Puma jumpsuit guy myself. I like pinks and blues and. Yeah, I took my '97 bank heist reenactment very seriously.
See, all my Adidas and I have Adidas, Puma, and Pony stuff, but it was all kind of coincided with like when Korn was wearing it in like the '90s and like early 2000s.
Wait, you still have Pony stuff?
I never had Pony actually. I had Puma and Adidas.
I was going to say that that would be worth money.
I probably had Pony stuff. I probably have. I'm sure I donated 20 years ago a pony sweatshirt or something.
We go from AKs to clothing. Holy shit, guys!
They go hand in hand. You need
90s dad stuff is hot right now. I've already got my New Balance, I've got my cargo shorts, and I've got my PGA Tour collared shirt. And when I put all that,
I like how
neighbor.
I like how you guys say like 90s dads, and besides the fact, like I was mowing grass the other day in cargo shorts with, not a high collared shirt, but a collared shirt on. See, but I didn't have any New Balance.
If you really want to do like the late 90s, like,
but you have to have the Corvette to go with it.
It's my 78.
Yes.
Does my 78 count?
You have to have. You have to have like convertible automatic Corvette.
C5. So literally the worst fucking Corvette
yes.
ever.
Yes.
I hate that car.
Yes,
and it has to be an automatic and a convertible.
Automatic C5 with a drop top, the anniversary edition.
I'm sorry, actually.
Strictly for going out on Sundays.
Yes.
Actually, now that you said that, I retract my answer. C4s are the ones I hated. The C4 I fucking hated. Where it had like the whole.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of the C4.
Yeah.
I
have a 78. I have a third gen. Love it.
When was the last time you drove that thing?
Last year.
I was going to say, because it looked like it was under about 3 inches of dust when I seen it.
It has 37,000 original miles, numbers matching.
Ooh.
Silver anniversary.
We need to talk after the show. I'm not a Corvette guy,
I'm a big car guy, dude. I got a Fox body sitting in the garage.
Now, see, this guy speaks my language.
Now, see, check it out. Did you know that on a quiet night you can actually hear a Mustang rust?
Not in Texas.
Yeah, I was going to say, not in Texas.
Maybe it's a Western Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Hell yeah, you can.
Yeah.
I think actually,
along with Chevys and everything else.
I'm pretty sure even Mustangs rust in Texas. Like Texas will actually rust a Mustang.
You do realize that's where Texas 2K is, and some of the fastest cars out of Texas 2K are Mustangs, then GTRs.
You realize like one of my chassis fab instructors, one of his main things was modding Mustangs.
Can we just end? Can we end the episode because this is going to be like a 3-hour ending? Jesus Christ.
You see, when the Fox chassis was developed, they wanted it to be on a few different platforms. So we had your T-Birds and your Mustangs. It was even in some 4-door sedans. We can talk about that if you want to.
Oh, God.
Very versatile chassis. Very versatile.
Well,
let's just end it. We'll have to have Klay back on for car talk with Klay.
All right, we need to do Kalashnikovs in cars with Klay.
Yeah, there you go.
Kalashnikovs and coffee. Let's make that a thing.
Dude, that would be awesome. Like a once a month AK shoot, drink some coffee, and
or we all, instead of a car show, we all just bring our guns and hang out in the Wendy's parking lot.
Does it have to be
very socially acceptable?
Does it have to be Wendy's?
No,
probably not.
Like, I feel like we should go like somewhere a little higher class than Wendy's.
I feel like it should be like at an IHOP for some reason. Actually,
no. I'm thinking like
maybe for your C5 Corvettes, yeah.
I'm thinking I'm thinking maybe like an Olive Garden or like a Texas Roadhouse or you guys just have like
that's not higher. But no, I'm not. No Darden.
I'm thinking like we said like higher than Wendy's. I mean, I don't think Texas.
Chuck E. Cheese down here.
Arby's.
I don't know if you guys.
We still have a Chuck E. Cheese board.
Do you guys still have? Do you guys have Panera Breads in Texas?
Yeah.
Okay, so that actually started in Ohio, by the way.
How about we actually find some cool dude that has some barbecue on some land?
Do we have like some place? I know Texas has some place with like all kind of barbecue places and probably like a shooting range right out back.
If not, we're moving stuff up to my land. You guys just come up there. We'll barbecue and be able to
No, because he'll come up here and then he'll think he's like in an episode of Deliverance or something.
No, that's West Virginia.
You're close enough.
Marcus, we'll take him down to your place.
Virginia felt like that. We went to Virginia for a machine gun shoot to Justin and Ash's house at J-Mac, and he's like, look, this address does not take you to our house. Don't get scared. When you get to this road, call me, and then I will direct you in. But don't get scared because it's going to get pretty sketch. And it was ver sketch, like the Hills Have Eyes kind of sketch. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like two streets over.
They're all crackheads and do meth.
And all of a
that's
sudden,
like 2 streets over from my house.
And all of a sudden, I heard heavy breathing and banjos, and I got scared.
Paddle faster! I hear banjos. Okay.
I'm going inside.
All right, guys. Well, with that, Klay, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Thank you for rescheduling because I'm an idiot and didn't think. And
I'm slightly retarded myself.
Yeah. Well,
I do want to applaud his Alex Jones. Like
he's good. He's good. Yeah, you could be an Alex Jones impersonator.
It is quite good there.
Well, and Alex Jones is from Texas too, so you gotta keep that in mind.
Maybe it's a Texas thing, that little extra gravel on the bottom.
Yeah.
But Clay, thank you so much. This has been a blast.
But again, thank you, Clay, for coming on. Keith, any final thoughts? Final questions?
Nope. I think I'm good.
All right.
That's great, guys. If I can, I'm going to embed a link in some stories on Instagram to try to bring people to this once it gets uploaded.
Appreciate that.
For sure. I'll promote it to you guys.
Hang out for 1 second. We'll do our outro, and then we'll close out the live, and we'll BS for a couple seconds if you want to hang out for a couple seconds.
All right. To those listening, love you. Bye.
All right. Other than that, I got nothing.
Nada.
All right. I'm Zach the Tactical Gnome.
Keep the bearded tank.
Daddy Brigade Podcast. Out.